This sequence will cover all the insects and spiders, starting off with the red paper wasps, moving on to butterflies, moths, and ending with spiders. Enjoy. Red paper wasps are common near most of the buildings around Eastwind. These wasps took over some honeybee hives after a small hive beetle infestation forced the honeybees out. Look at how these wasp bouncers operate. You must have to be pretty cool to get into that club. The only time I've been stung by a wasp was when I tried to kill it, and I've heard stories of supposedly innocent people being stung without provocation, but I believe these people fail to see the anger and violence suppressed deep in their hearts. Wasps are very sensitive and easily pick up on such things, so if you are stung, don't externalize with blame, look inside, and be grateful for the subtle message. On to more scientific wasp facts. Wasps are able to sting repeatedly, similar to bumblebees, and unlike the honeybee, which typically just gets one sting to deploy, in which the stinger barb clamps into the skin of the victim and the insides of the honeybee, which are usually ripped out, of its abdomen, continue to pump venom into the sting victim. This is why it helps to scratch honeybee stingers out of your skin, as it will prevent the continued flow of venom. Oh, and let's not forget that wasps are pollinators as well as useful predators. Like many plants and spiders, the stinging rose moth caterpillar is covered in urticating hairs, which are a defense mechanism. This flamboyant specimen was found around the industrial area up north. Found in the hoop house, this female Io moth is truly captivating. Males also have defensive lightning eye spots and are nearly all yellow. These moths have a 1 to 2 week lifespan. The walnut sphinx caterpillar will produce a high-pitched whistle when attacked by a bird, giving it a chance at escape via rejection. Probably the most common moth around Eastwind, you'll find the hummingbird clearwing whirring around with near constant movement in the lower herb garden during the warm season. Another fast-moving moth found most often in the gardens, this is a Carolina sphinx. The caterpillar is known as the tobacco hornworm. Manduca sexta is the Latin name, and it indicates the 6 orange spots on each side of the abdomen. The tomato hornworm is a similar species with 5 orange spots in its moth form. Both species make their home on solanum plants, which include tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and potatoes. Grasshoppers go back over 250 million years in the fossil record. Unlike the metamorphosis life cycle of caterpillar, cocoon, pupa, butterfly, these creatures undergo 5 molts of development to gradually become a mature adult. The Japanese beetle can be a serious agricultural pest in the US and has been in the country for over a century. You'll find them having orgies on the leaves of the corn in the garden in June. The larvae burrow in the ground and eat plant roots, while the flying adults will eat leaves. At Eastwind, the population of Japanese beetles is not sufficient to cause major crop damage. The black swallowtails are a polyandrous species in which the male is characterized with numerous yellow spots and the female spots are predominantly white and blue. These butterflies are by far the most common to see around community. Zebra swallowtails love pawpaw trees, and for good reason. They are the second most common butterfly about the land. Zebra swallowtail caterpillars are cannibalistic, and so the females lay a single egg on pawpaw leaves or tree trunks to avoid unfortunate family reunions. Our last butterfly is a single monarch fluttering about in the floodplain of Long Bottom in early May. Difficult to capture on camera, it made me sad to see this individual scurrying about, seemingly desperate to find forage, one of many species in this world on the brink of extinction. Here we are looking at an immature male common whitetail, one of the most common dragonflies across North America. Male dragonflies are incredibly well adapted for aerial dogfights to protect territory against other males. Damselflies are placed in the Odonata order, which is the same order that dragonflies are classified in. I believe this is an eastern red damsel. There are over 2,400 species of mantis. This individual was discovered on the fuel tanks up by the auto shop. Mantises typically capture prey by ambush. Their spiked raptorial forelegs are formidable weapons in a fight. Here we see a teeny tiny mantis on the hand of the child who insisted I take a picture of it. Sometimes larger mantises will eat smaller mantises of their own species. I won't even attempt to identify these particular specimens. Spiders. First off, as far as I know, black widows and the more common brown recluse are the only 2 spiders to be wary of in this area. Spiders typically only bite humans when disturbed, and this is especially true for brown recluses and black widows. You really have to put yourself in an aggressive, threatening position to warrant a bite. I saw a single black widow down in the lower garden in my 4 years at Eastwind. The brown recluses are common indoors, but they keep to themselves, and only in areas that don't have consistent traffic or consistent cleaning would you have to keep an eye out. Okay, let's get into some of our non-poisonous eight-legged friends. Phidippus audax, the jumping spider. A common jumping spider in North America, Phidippus audax is easily identifiable by its relatively large size and iridescent chelicerae, which is the term used for the mouthparts of the arthropod group Chelicerata. Metallic blue as well as the metallic green we see here define Phidippus audax. Most jumping spiders actively hunt, weaving webs only for egg laying and hiding. There are over 2,000 species of wolf spider. These spiders carry their egg sac by attaching it to their spinneret, which is the silk spinning organ of the spider. Lycosidae tigrosa, which we see here, can be loosely translated from Latin as lycosa, fierce like a wolf, and tigrosa, fierce like a tiger. Wolf spiders are very common to see in the gardens, and their large size makes them easy to spot. This all-black tank of a spider is in the Eumidia genus. They will dig a tunnel in the ground and seal it with a silken lid, and when prey goes close, probably sensed by vibration, they will emerge to strike. In late spring, you can find males wandering about looking for mates. Now we will look at 3 different representatives of the orb weaver family of spiders. They build spiral, wheel-shaped webs along the paths through the forest commonly. Orb can mean circular in English, hence the name. Argiope aurantia, commonly known as the black and yellow garden spider, this species is common across the US. Once they construct a web, they typically stick with it throughout the summer, and less disturbed, of course. The male will pluck strands on a female's web to court her, with a safety drop line ready if the female attacks him. After successful copulation, the male dies, and sometimes the female will then eat his body. Romance at its finest. Verrucoso aranata, the arrowhead orb weaver. You will find these spiders along the paths through community, and that's why some people have sticks to knock down their webs as they walk along. I couldn't find much on this orb weaver other than its genus of Acanthopyra. Found it on a dairy rag in my room. Pretty cool though, right? And finally, here's a tarantula in the Aponopelma genus. An interesting fact is that female tarantulas can live over 3 decades, whereas the male typically doesn't make it past 10. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed some of that. This should be the penultimate video in this series, if everything goes to plan. The last video will have some footage of ants and other random insects, but it won't be as educational. So if you made it this far, thanks!